This is Jet with Pop Austin Media, and I got a legend in the city, man. Fuck what y'all talking about. I got my guy Nook in the building. How's life, my guy?
Hey man, couldn't be better. Y'all got me on the show, so life is great.
Hey, man.
That means something to me. Like I look at everything, and anytime I got an opportunity to shed light, you know what I'm saying, bring some real shit to the table or whatever. So I'm down with that. So I appreciate, y'all having me here today.
And we appreciate you coming through. That means something to us too, man. Like you said, you done a lot for the city. Like you said, we were talking earlier. Won't get too much into it, but some motherfuckers just don't know, acting like they don't know.
We can get into it, and then for those that don't know, they can learn
they about
something.
To figure the hell out.
They can learn something, and those that do, they can jump in, and we can make real things happen. That's what it's about.
Let's do it. Hey, but let's start from the beginning though. Where's Nook originally from?
Well, Nook Turner, born and raised Austin, Texas.
What part of Austin?
East Side 02, 78702, 17th Street, right down the street from 12th Street. Born and raised, the heart of the city. And my bloodline and my ancestors and everything are the ones that basically helped build this city. And that's why I fight so hard for this. And if you look at just what the neighborhood I'm from on the east side, lost so many relatives just on that side of town. Like, it's thick over there in my blood being shed, and with us, having triumphs and doing great things and changing stuff for the city. Like we groundbreakers, and we change things. And so, yeah, I'm Austin to the heart, whether I'm physically here or not. This is what my blood is.
And I can tell that all the time. So speaking of that, like how is, having that much roots into Austin? How is it being? And not a lot of people have that much roots, especially nowadays. There's a lot of transplants in this thing. No knock to it. I mean, this is the city that they need to be coming to now. But how is that? Just having so much deep roots in Austin. And your childhood, like growing up with,
It's real, but it can be a gift and it can be your curse. And the thing is, having my roots so embedded in the city is my love and fight for the city. But at the same time, it's like David versus Goliath. When you see that your city is changing, when you see that things are set up in your city that's not necessarily for you, and you have to learn to live with it and deal with it. And it's hard because your heart is here, because it'd be easy just to pack up and burn, and pack up and say, I'm finna go locate somewhere that's already popping, or am I going to take the struggle on and see what I can do to make this happen? And that was the conflict from the gate for me, was like, am I making a conscious choice to become a sacrifice, or am I going to make a conscious choice to not be a sacrifice but still reach some of my goals? And my goal from the gate was to save my people and to put my people in a better position. When I say my people, I mean anybody that's down to be successful, anybody that look like me, or down with people that look like me and seeing us in the place we should be. Because if you look at Austin, a lot of people don't know, at one point in the history of the city, it was majority black. At one point, Austin was 60% black. And when you start looking at the history of everything that makes Austin what it is, everything from the rooter to the tutor was all done on the backs of blacks. Everything from the infrastructure to you name it. So it's like, I feel like until we are getting a piece of that pie, and a big piece of that pie, it's going to always be something in my heart to say, I got to do something here to at least throw rocks at the giant. That's what it is.
So like, speaking on that, so like when you were like, so did anything open your eyes when you were a kid, a youngin'? Like to that, or like what made you finally realize, though, like, yo, I need to be, like you said, that sacrifice in a sense, or, that spokesperson, the one that's like, yo, I can be, I wouldn't call you in a bad way, like the gatekeeper in a sense, like I wouldn't, gatekeeper's a bad term, but what I mean in the sense of like the do's and don'ts, but you've seen it all.
The gate destroyer.
There you go. It's a better way to say it.
We the gate terminators, you feel me?
Yeah, there you go.
But, born and raised on the east side, when I was born and raised in the 80s, it's like you still had a community. You could see where it was getting ready to turn when the crack epidemic hit, and when just everything was kind of going away. You could see that, but you still had a sense of community, and that was the whole thing. Born and raised on the east side, but there was a time period in my life where we had to move to Thurman Heights, and we lived in the projects on the north side, and that was a culture shock for me because it was a total different situation. You could see that was not a organic community. That was people being displaced from all over the city, and just
kind of thrown together in a neighborhood or whatever.
Thrown together in the projects, and going through that time period before I actually moved back to the east side, it was like I started understanding that things got to change. My kinfolks was getting killed, kinfolks going to prison. I was seeing drugs ravage my family right there, you know, saying with my dad's situation, seeing motherfuckers OD, like just seeing everything in my face. And what really hit me first, I was like 8 years old and my cousin went to prison, and like that was my heart, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was like I wanted to always figure out a way to tell my older kinfolk, like, there's something different after that we can do. It gotta be. I don't know what that is, but it gotta be. And so that's kind of where it birthed when I was living in Thurman Heights. But what actually got me into music, which got me into doing what I'm doing now, that's what people don't understand. Like, music is the beginning, and for Nook Turner, that's gonna be the ending.
No, yeah, I know that was the beginning.
Those don't know what that is, but you know, living in Thurman Heights, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a car. We rarely had people come visit us. Like we was going through it, you know, where my mom would get $135 a month welfare. And I know that number because she taught me math then. We would catch the city bus to the grocery store and do a month's worth of shopping in that one sitting, take all them groceries and ride on the bus back to the house. And then same thing with our clothes. We would wash our clothes once a month. So, you know, and we didn't have any connection with our relatives on the east side unless somebody came to visit us. And basically when people would come to visit us, I wouldn't want them to leave. So I would entertain and come up with skits. I would do all kind of things to make them stay. But what got me into the music is my cousin was getting married. You know, shout out to cousin Kelly. She was getting married, and she always gonna be founded in my story because I was bullshitting with. I was like, I'm gonna do a song. I'm gonna rap at your wedding. I'm gonna rap a song. And I had no intent of that. I had never really seriously rapped. But my mama was the type of person, she was like, hey, if you say that, you got to do that. And she taught me then I had to stand on my word. And then it helped out because we had no money to give her a gift. We was kind of like, hey, if he can do this song.
Yeah, so the trade-off.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? To make it work all the way around. But my mama sat me down and she helped me write it out as a poem. And she wrote a poem. It was called Kelly and Stanley. And I went to North Cross Mall. For those that's old enough to remember, you used to go to the recording studios of America at North Cross Mall, and you pay whatever it was, and you could bring a beat in, or they'd have a beat, and you could rap and, you know, record, and they put it on the cassette tape. So I went and recorded the song, and then at her wedding, I performed the song. And at that moment at her wedding, when I performed the song, I realized that was how I could get people to listen to what I had to say and what I felt. And I noticed at that moment, I could take my pen and I could talk to my family. And my first raps was all about talking to my family. It wasn't about nobody else. It was telling my family, you know what I'm saying? I'm 10 years old. Crime, violence, drugs is a no-no. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Take a bite out of crime. Let's get out of drugs. Let's get out of doing stuff that's going to kill us. And that's where I was at. And so we went from being residents in Thurman Heights. And my mama told me, she taught me the real, started from the bottom, now we here. Mm-hmm. Drake cool, but my mama, I seen what we did.
Bottom, Drake's bottom.
I don't know what his bottom was, but our
yeah.
bottom was having nothing. And the crazy part about it is I played basketball then, and I was athletic.
That's what I was going to say. You played sports, right?
Yeah, I was hooper then. So I got a basketball scholarship to Hyde Park. And so there was a period where we was living in the projects, and I was going through that hard, but then I was going to school over at Hyde Park. And that's when I started learning racism exists. Because before then, I didn't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? I started realizing and seeing the differences. And I started seeing the difference of the quality of life. Because one of the problems we have, and this is not just black people, but people that's in the struggle period, is we make the struggle the norm. And we get comfortable in the struggle that we feel like that's what life is. Damn. You feel me? And so it's like when you go to them other areas and you see people who are living a higher quality and their norm is different, you start saying it got to be something different for us. We just being blindfolded to what's going on. And so I took all my culture over to the school. I was I was dubbing NWA tapes. I was making African medallions. I was doing that whole situation, and I was turning those kids at the private school into hip hop heads and into the culture. And I started realizing these kids may have material things that I don't have, but they don't have the spirit and the soul.
No, they don't.
And I was like, that's why they rocking with me, because I'm bringing an energy and a spirit that's foreign to them, but it's kindred to them as well, because they yearn for that. Every human being yearn for that. And I started learning why we are as blacks in the condition we in and what we have to do to get up out of that. But, you know, long story short, I ended up not getting accepted back into the school after junior high. I just was doing too much. I was too black, too real, too serious, and I questioned everything.
It's a damn shame to say that, too black.
I was too black to be there.
I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's some people that can be black and they can coexist everywhere, but if you be too black, it ain't gonna work. And I was too me. I was too much me. And so, but going back to the bottom from the bottom to the top is I watch my mama. Actually, we go from her basically not being able to get out of bed, fucked up, had a car wreck, life out of there, couldn't work.
Damn.
Us having nothing, never had a living room furniture at this place. Never, like, our living room was a storage room. We never had nothing. Like, talking about not having nothing, I was going to Salvation Army and getting shoes and stuff for school, and I would wear that to the private school, and those kids had money, and they wanted to wear my XJ900s, and I kept my Pro Wings clean, and I kept, everything, I kept it clean because I realized if I don't, I might not get another pair. And see, and that's like kids to today, they don't understand that. They get spoiled, or they think every day entitled to things. But during that time, if I mess this up, I might not get it again.
Yeah, you understood.
Yeah, I understood that, and that's pretty much what it was. But even real talk, dumpster diving. Like, I watched my mom, and I had to get out there with her. In order for me to make it to private school, I had to catch the bus. We didn't have no money, so we used to have to go late at night and dumpster dive, and my mom would get all the cans and get all the stuff out the trash can that was of value, and then she would take it, recycle it, do all that, bring it back so I could have change to get through school.
Mom's hustling. Mom's a G.
Yeah, and she elevated from us being residents to her being the president to eventually she ran the whole side of town. She became like the district GM of housing authority. So that's what I'm saying. I watched her go from the mud all the way up, and it showed me, like, never give up. And she got put in charge of some tough projects at the time. Georgia Manor, for those that know. Meadowbrook, that they used to call, Murderside and all that. She was basically the one that went in there and cleaned those complexes up. And she was also able to use me as a tool or a catalyst to do that because, hey, I got my son with me. We're going to do these community events, and he's going to perform. And I was the cool kid that would go out and perform and rap, and everybody would come and surround me. So it was actually elevating me as far as music and my message, because even though my message was directed to my family, it was relative to everybody in the struggle. And so basically I was that kid that went to the projects and rapped and and brought a whole nother energy, and all of a sudden you start seeing that energy grow to where the complexes was cleaned up, and my mom was going in and fixing that to the point that she made the newspaper. She made major media as a person responsible for cleaning up some of these areas. And I was starting to see what I was doing manifest into real things that could be something I really could do. So that's why I'm into music, and that's why I feel like my voice is important, because my mama told me it was important, but she showed me. Let me take you to the south side, the Meadowbrook, and you're going to perform over here. And we're going to see how people act after you perform. And you see the energy just 360 transform. And so that's what Nook has always been about, is making change through the words.
Hell yeah. What high school did you go to?
Reagan.
Reagan's okay. Yeah. All right. Dang. So I would say your mom's your biggest inspiration. Definitely.
Off top, because that's all I had. That's all I had. She taught me how to be a man by showing me what a man wasn't, and for me to figure out what it was. So everything.
What do you compare early hip hop in Austin, and then like now modern?
I mean, when I was getting started,
because you've seen the whole transformation.
At one point, it was a community, and that's what I'm saying. Hip hop is always going to be reflective of the conditions that the people are creating it are in. And so when there were conditions where it was a community and you had black love, black pride, you had things like that going on in the city, the hip hop scene was great. It was good. And when you start seeing that go away, it turned into a whole nother situation. But for me, I was always the youngster that would come in and steal the show. And so a lot of the older artists at the time didn't like me because I would win every talent show. I would come in and you got an advantage when you're young because they're like, the cute kid. But then when you're young and then you bringing talent to the table, it becomes a threat. So it's like,
and then you're more in tune and in tap when you're young too.
Yeah, and I never got embraced by older hip hop artists that was here. I always either was pit against competition with them, or I just wouldn't really be around them. Like, I didn't really get that love. And one of the things that separated me a lot is because a lot of part of my life I used to hold a title. I'm Nook. I'm a positive rapper, and I would say that before I perform, and that would alienate me from other scenes and other people. Go, he's a positive rapper. He's conscious. He does gospel, and that wasn't what I was. But my music has always had a message, and it reflected life. So there's days in life where I'm deep in thinking about God and trying to follow that path and do that. So you're gonna get that music, but then other stuff, other aspects of my life you're gonna get. But I always, it was my mom taught me always introduce yourself, and that was part of my introduction. Every time I performed, is I'm a positive rapper and I do this and that, and I always kind of separated myself. Where I learned as I got older, don't separate yourself, because you need to be the people you're trying to reach with who you talking to and why you started doing this. You can't already ostracize them by the first things you say. You just gotta say, hey, this who I am, and I'm finna tell y'all some real shit. And that's what it is. Not I'm this separate from that. But
exactly.
That was my mom was giving me that because she wanted me to understand that I'm different. So it was a phase in my life where that was supposed to be like that. Then it was a phase where I should grow out of that and become something else. And that's what it was.
Dope. Okay. How did Jump On It come to fruition?
Same thing. Jump On It has been
for a while.
Well, we're celebrating 25 years.
25 years. I was about to say 20. God dang, 25.
Nah,
Ooh.
we celebrating 25 years, bro. I was 15 when I started really learning and putting Jump On It together.
Damn.
But Jump On It is the same thing. It's just like my life story. It was like we needed something in the community. Back then, Rosewood Park, the biggest thing for blacks all over was Juneteenth. Juneteenth was the tradition. You had to be at Rosewood Park. I don't care how old you were, how young you were. If you were black, you were going to be at Juneteenth. That was the hood holiday. And that changed. Some incidents happened down there, but it basically opened the gate for the gatekeepers, the real gatekeepers. And some of them look like us, which is sad, but that opened the gate for them to come and start shutting it down. And so that tradition was dying. And so the late, great Dorothy Turner, she was given jurisdiction over Rosewood Park because that's one of our most historical parks in the city. And I can go into deep historical context of that. We won't do that now. But that park was being underutilized by black people. And that's one of our most significant establishments in the history of the city, period.
Damn.
And so in 1996, I performed at this event called Turn Your Back on Violence. And it was put together by Lloyd Ellison at Doris Miller. And during that event, Dorothy Turner got up and made a citywide call. And her citywide call was anybody that wants to utilize Rosewood Park, holler at me. We need to get more black activity at the park. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was the only one that took heed to that call. And I went to her, and when I met her, it was like a kindred energy. It was like, she
was
on
a
my
connection
page.
right there. You're like, yeah, we can, yeah.
Well, my idol has always been Nat Turner. Always. When I was at private school, when I was at Thurman Heights, and when I was young, my mama bought me a whole bunch of books, because this was her thing. If you're going to go to school with white kids, you still going to not be culture shocked. You're going to know who you are.
Because they're not going to tell you shit that you need.
No.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot of stuff I've learned after the fact.
Exactly. So she bought me this big collection of all the prominent black leaders. And so since I was little, she would inundate me with these books. And so I would have to read these books, and we would go sit and feed the ducks, and she'd make me read these books on just different black inspirational leaders and that. So Nat Turner had always been like somebody, that my heart was out there on what he did and why he did it. Not necessarily doing it in the same way he done it, but I respect the person that's willing to stand on what they believe and willing to die for what they believe, and then willing to change the conditions and be willing to do whatever it takes to do that. So in meeting Dorothy Turner, it was like that same energy. It was like I felt that revolutionary, I'll do whatever it takes energy. And then finding out that, she knew my grandfather, who owned a club on 11th Street, and her mom and her family was working at the Victory Grill. And so it was just that kindred energy. But she her moniker was Harriet Tubman. And so she was kind of on the same thing. So it was like the Nat Turner meet the Harriet Tubman. We finna do some stuff. And so she basically told me, whatever you want to do at this park, I don't care what it is. I'm going to go put together the committee of adults. You go put together a committee of youth, and whatever y'all want to do, let's do it. So I went back with my mama to the drawing board and said, what you want to do? And we came up with the idea of doing weekly concerts and kind of reminiscent to Juneteenth, but also Jam City. So are you from Austin?
No, I'm from Dallas, but I've been out here for like 6, 7, 8 years.
You ain't been out here long enough then. Okay.
Nah, yeah.
To know that.
Not long enough, no.
Jam City was like the Soul Train of Austin. That was like the show that was on the Access Channel TV. Everybody come and dance, and it was just, that's why I said during that time we had a community. So I was too young to experience Jam City, but of course my mom wasn't, and so she was like, let's do something like Jam City, Juneteenth, but bring it to Rosewood Park. And then what was the crazy thing is, let's do this every week for the entire summer. Like, we didn't even know what we was thinking about, but my mama came up with the name Jump On It. And when she first said the name Jump On It, I was like, man, that's corny.
Oh, it don't sound corny to me, but you probably at the time.
Nah, yeah. And if your mama said, a lot of times if your parents said,
no, Ma, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we was meeting with the city of Austin and Parks and Rec about this. And because Dorothy Turner brought everybody to the table, like, this is what we gonna do. And they asked me, they said, Nook, what is gonna be the name of the program? And I looked around, and I was like, Jump On It. And everybody looked, and my mama gave me this look like, you hated when I said that, but now you know, but it just worked because it was about jumping on the bandwagon of reclaiming the community. Because Dorothy Turner would always say, Austin is going to change. She said they're going to extend downtown to airport. Like, she steady was on us that gentrification was coming. We didn't even know what gentrification was, but she was giving us these words and this terminology that we wasn't even familiar with. You feel me? And so my mom was like, reclaim your thing. Let's bring people back to Rosewood Park. Let's bring the community back out. And Jump On It turned into a tradition. It turned into something.
25-year plus long thing.
We still living. We still here. We're not thriving yet, but we in survival mode. But we're in an opportunity right now where we may be able to thrive going into the next year or so.
The hell has been going on for this long, so y'all definitely thriving, I would say. So when this airs, it's going to be probably 2 days from now. When this airs. So you got Jump On It's happening shortly.
Well, this is what I learned is Jump On It has always been for the community, by the community, for the youth, by the youth, but then by adults as well and for adults. And so we used to always say with Jump On It, we cater ages 0 to 99 because we had the old school, the R&B, the jazz, the hip hop. If it was community, we did it. Throughout the years of us trying to figure out what we're going to do with Jump On It, being displaced, gentrification, not having the support because of what we were actually doing, we had to kind of rebrand what we were doing with Jump On It. So at one point, we went straight doing every Wednesday for the entire summer. And then the mid to late 2000s, we went into doing big one and dones. And I became the spokesperson for, AISD, doing that dropout prevention and doing that. And then it was my wife who came in and was like, let's bring Jump On It back. And, I fought with her and I argued with her about it. But, I kind of rolled with it because my heart was, I know what Jump On It could do. So we brought the series back in 2014. And so we've been running the every week again and doing that. But through the process, we were struggling. We didn't have the money. Jump On It costs a lot of money to bring down those acts, have those stages, and do high quality. Like, I could have just done what some people do and just rent a pavilion, but that's never been me. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it my best. So in having the lack of funding, we was always trying to figure out how to get the support. But what my mistake was I was trying to get the support from the people we were trying to help. So people used to getting it for free. People used to Jump On It being a resource for them. We were trying to make the people our resource and then give them a resource. That shit don't work like that. So I started figuring it out and we started rebranding into what Jump On It could be. I said, well, Jump On It is always going to be the entity. But let's birth some other festivals that's produced by Jump On It, but it can reach a different audience. That audience can give us the resource to then go back to the people that need the resource.
Which spawns Gator Fest.
Yes. So like that's where the Fat Gator
came. Fat Gator, my bad.
Yeah, the Fat Gator came from. Well, I was bringing it was a few times we brought Boosie to town and dope. I never lost with Boosie. As no matter whoever else I brought, we never took an L with Boosie. And so I was like, you know what? If we bring in Boosie like this, and it's almost starting to turn into an annual type thing that, we bring in Boosie, let's make it into a festival and a lifestyle, and let's brand it under that and let it grow into the food, the activity, and let's merge Louisiana with Texas, because there's a lot of Louisiana people here that was displaced from Katrina, and
heck yeah,
it's booming here with people from the NO and all over. So yeah, let's merge that. And so the original Fat Gator was Mo3 and Boosie back in 2020.
R.I.P. Mo3.
And it got canceled because of COVID. And then Mo3 situation happened in that November. And so it was like, then when we tried to bring bring it back. Boosie wasn't able to be booked, and so we just grew it out into the first Fat Gator Festival we done was with Fredo Bang, Rich Homie Quan, Yin Yang Twins, and we did a whole bunch of artists, and we did that. And I learned from that. I said, you know what? We spent $130K on this event. That's cool, cause we didn't take no major L, but it wasn't a win either. But I said if I'd have had all of those artists and broke them up into multiple days and had a Fredo Bang car show, had a Yin Yang Twins pool party, had and broke it down into a whole weekend of festivities, activities, had a youth symposium, had all this stuff going on, we could have spent the same money, but then been in a situation where we could have really built a big problem in the city. It's when I say problem, like we could start stepping on the toes of those
good
who's
problem.
already, good problem. So with this one right here, I said we had momentum because the last Fat Gator was jumping. I said let's take that momentum. Before that momentum died, before the end of the summer, let's do another Fat Gator. But since it's produced by Jump On It, we'll use that to celebrate Jump On Its 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We said, okay, I'm going to do a celebrity basketball game, and I'm going to try to reach out to a lot of people that performed at Jump On It and get them to come play in the game. Then we're going to give away, some things to the youth, and we're going to have our community situation, and then we're going to have some parties, and then we're going to do pool party, boat party, car show. We're going to do all that with all the artists, but spread it out over a whole weekend. And I was like, let's try it, and let's see. And that's where we at starting this Thursday. If you're catching this, then August 11th through the 14th is the Fat Gator weekend, but we celebrating 25 years to Jump On It. And we're going to take the resources from that and start planning what we're going to do for specifically Jump On It next year. But we're going to start doing weekends. So anything you see me do 2023 and on, you're going to see mostly multi-day type events, which Jump On It, we were doing every week for 12 weeks. Crazy. So it's
I can only imagine the constant just, now back again this week. You done with it. Just a constant grind.
Man, at the end of every summer, from 98 until we stopped doing it in Rosewood, at the end of every summer, I would pass out, have to be rushed to the hospital, have a major heart attack. One of my main issues that I deal with now, why I even got the size I am now, is because I had a major asthma attack. And then I got put on steroids, and like my whole trajectory of health and everything changed. And a lot of that was due to the stress load that it took to do Jump On It, because it wasn't just about doing Jump On It and helping the community, because it did. It definitely helped the community. We have the stats to show that. But at the same time, it brought a lot of hate. It brought a lot of stress. It brought a lot of drama. The older community, like I was telling you with the older rappers, it's like people start saying, well, how is he able to do this? He's 17. I've been doing this and I'm 30. Why is he there? Why is he on the news? Why is this? How can we get in and take this? How can we be part of this and get rid of him? And it just played into a lot of stress. And I went through everything you could think of, from indictments to everything you can think of that's bad besides dying. With a program I went through, and we stood in the fire, exonerated, realness stood. I never turned my back. I stayed who I was. I stayed me. And that's why I'm still here to do that and still able to bring change and be successful.
Hell yeah. I'm ready for it. I know this shit's going to be dope.
I remember when I used to go to Jump On It, because I was born in Austin, but, I was raised in Colorado. And I used to come back for the summers to visit my dad, and I used to go to Jump On It. So I was thinking, I know Nook couldn't have started it, because ain't no way he could have been that young doing it. But that's crazy to know that you were that young starting it, because it was major. I mean, I used to go to them concerts. Yeah. That was the only thing I knew in the summer, you know what I'm saying, was Jump On It. It was really the only thing popping.
He put
for black
me on
folks,
to it.
you know what I'm saying? So man, kudos to you, man.
We got to the point where we averaged 5,000 people a week.
Yeah.
He told me
I was
there.
Like, it was crazy, man. It was like festivals every week. I was like, what the heck is going on in Austin?
we got to the point where Jump On It was named through the Texas Music Office the largest outdoor urban concert series in the state, possibly the nation. And I got named top 25 under 25 by the Future 500 magazine out of New York. So it was getting the steam. And I was told many times, take it on the road. And I was like, well, I got to get Austin straight. Jump On It lasted 25 years. We have never been fully funded. Lasting 25 years, we've never had full support from the city.
Damn. So
that lets you know, but Jump On It brings in an element that fights against what the plans and movement for the city is. 2016, 2017, we're at Givens Park. Tradition coming back. You look up, it's 6,000 black people at Givens Park. every week. Oh no, we don't want that. Got to shut it down. So what they did to me was they can't legally shut you down if you follow the rules. I follow all the rules. Excuse me. But what they done was, oh, we got to charge you festival fees since you're getting over 1,000 people.
Oh,
now you got to pay. You got to pay what ACL would pay. Well, ACL is grossing millions.
Yeah.
And they don't. So it's like they put us in a bind, and they didn't let me know that until a month prior to us starting in 2017. I ain't gonna quit. Okay, that's gonna cost us an extra $54,000. We don't have it, but we gonna figure it out. And I figured it out. Me and my wife sat down and we figured it out, and we fundraised and we begged the community for donations, and we done it, but we made it happen. And that was the biggest programming that they had at Givens Park that was organized and that was for the youth. And after that 2017, we couldn't afford to be there though, so then we moved to the Expo Center. And same thing, it's like they price you out. They can't tell you no, but they give you such a hurdle that you can't jump. And then they'll tell you go get sponsors. But when I talk to the average sponsor and I say we're gonna have 2,000 black teenagers, that's not their demographics. They don't want that. See what I'm saying?
So you gotta leave out. We gonna have a lot of youngins here, but then they're gonna be like, where at, and blah blah blah.
Once you see the pictures, you see that. Even going to some of the schools, for example, like we was thinking about, okay, I graduated Reagan. Why not jump on the Nelson Field? That'd be huge. They don't want it.
Hey, that's crazy.
When you tell them, I've had meetings before I told them the race of the event, all for it. As soon as I get to the point where they see it's black teenagers, and then they can't tell you no because it'll be racism. So then what they'll do is they'll say, well, if you're going to have that, you got to have this amount of police officers. And then that turns into a fee you can't afford. And at Jump On It, we had a rule. No APD, period. When we was booming at Rosewood Park, I don't know if you remember this.
I remember.
We got the Nation of Islam. We didn't want no police. We had fights at Jump On It, right? The only time we've had major fights at Jump On It is when the police was there.
I can only imagine.
You know what I'm saying? And so we was like, yeah, we don't want no police at our events. We can have private security. And then I put it on the community. If y'all want this event to last, y'all show up and protect it. It was some nights I would get on stage and I would rant. And I'd be like, if y'all don't want this event to end, everybody next week wear a black shirt. And everybody got a black shirt on. That's your responsibility to make sure there ain't no fights. And we wouldn't have no fights. And then I got to the point I said, well, we're going to bring prayer out. So then I would bring different youth preachers and they would open up the event in prayer. And if none of them were available, then I would open up in prayer. And as long as we kept that energy and that spirit right, because one thing about black people, and I can just speak for us because I'm black, is we are very respectful. We're probably the only race in the world that you can do what you've done to in this country and then we still will love you. You feel me? So that's just real talk. Like it's just
real shit.
And then we'll take your religion, we'll take your ideology, we'll take your concepts and we'll adopt them as our own, knowing that you have no real love for me and how can I even trust anything you give me? But we'll take that and we'll embed that in our situation. And so I'm saying all that to say, black people are very respectful. We get the jacket that we're not, but we're the most respectful. There when it comes to So our issue is we're tired of being disrespected, and then you're gonna have your issues with that. And then if you're working with problem youth, you already said it. They're coming in with problems, so you have to deal with them different. You have to say these kids need discipline. These situations need this, so we're not going to rule them like a certain group that wouldn't necessarily need that. And so only people that can understand how to do that is the people that's going through it. And that's why we said no APD, because y'all don't understand it.
No, yeah, they're going to make shit worse.
This is what I told them to do, though. And see, people don't understand that because I'm 17, 18 doing this. But, I had my mama and all the stories. But Dorothy Turner was lacing me up, too. Okay, APD, this is what we want y'all to do. Come out to these events in plain clothes and bring your goddamn kids with you. Let your kid. And they started doing that, and you would see some of the officers that I knew and their kids would be running around playing, and then they start realizing, oh, this is not a bad situation at all. I don't have to be uptight when I'm around this group of individuals. And had we been able to sustain that situation in the early 2000s and on, Austin may not be in the situation we in now with our relations with police officers in the community. Like Jump On It could have been the linchpin in a lot of that, but it just wasn't allowed to be that because we were bringing a group of people back to a neighborhood, an area that they're trying to raise a profit on and make money.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy a $500,000 house, you move from California, you're not going to want to see 10,000 black people at a park every week. That's not what they sold to you when you bought the house. See what I'm saying? And the way we live through retention from slavery, we are culturally different. So if you're not used to our culture and you spending $500,000 and up on a 1-bedroom, 300 square foot spot, you're not going to feel what we bring. So Jump On has always met that adversity with the developers, with the community, with the change. And then they even got to the point where they were changing the rezoning the parks just so events like that wouldn't happen. And I learned a neighborhood park, you can only have 100. District park like Givens is a district park, you can do a bigger, but they have us so zoned out to where we can't congregate in numbers like that. It's all a hustle, and we just got to open our eyes to the shit. That's it.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, shit. What? Anything you want to say to the listeners before we end this mug out?
Let's talk about music, man.
Let's talk about some music.
Let's talk about music. Ask me some questions. I see y'all was causing a lot of controversy for a minute. I was getting calls.
Oh, what kind of controversy was I causing?
I ain't trying to get no controversy, but I want to speak on music too because rap is what I do. You know, I put that on the back burner to do a lot of what I'm doing in the community. But what I'm fortunate about is I was so young doing that I'm still young enough to do what I do now. Now, if I was already grown and older doing the Jump On It time, then I'd be out of there. But nah, man, let's talk about music artists. Yeah, talk to me. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm an artist.
When we talk about your music that's coming out, I know you said you had something coming up, but
the city,
in October you
other
said.
other artists, so what, you know what I'm saying? I rock with everybody.
So who's the most underrated in Austin? Hip hop artist.
Shit, me.
That's not you. Who's the most underrated?
The most underrated that's not me right now. I'm gonna say C Crook.
I haven't heard of him.
That's why he underrated.
See, there you go.
Because he produce his own beats and he rap. He do it all. And I think he the most underrated. But you know, he got some of that's his fault because he got the tools to not be where that is. And you know, I had a talk with him a couple of months ago and said, hey, and I gave him a whole list of advice on what he need to do. So if he take heed to that, I think he'll go from being underrated to being known. But it's not too many that can mess with him with bars and the fact that he produces his own shit as well. Like, yeah, C Crook definitely.
Why do you think you're underrated? I mean, you probably got the most accolades as a, you know, MC out here.
Yeah, that's what
one of the most known, you know what I mean? So why would you say you do numbers when you drop stuff, you know, stuff with major artists? Why would you say you're underrated?
I'm underrated because people don't know that I do music. People just think I'm a promoter or do events. And that's my fault as well. So same advice I would give to C Crook on that. But I'm underrated because this new generation of rappers, they don't even know I exist as a rapper. They don't even know that because I haven't done anything to show that. So I'm underrated because I got a lot in the vault. I got big records. I got big features. I got stuff that if I'm able to sit down and focus on that 100, it'll change the whole city. It'll change this whole area. And that's what I got to do now. But I'm underrated because people don't understand that. They did a list last year. I was like number 14 on the list. I don't know who do these lists, but I was watching niggas do whole lives talking about why I shouldn't be on the list. And I'm like, okay, y'all really don't. And I'm sure whoever did the list probably know a little bit. And that's why they was like, we got to have Nook on this list. So, you know, but definitely.
I hope if they're doing a list, they're doing research to see who's doing the most.
Well, they had to have me on there because I hadn't been relevant with music. You see what I'm saying? And that's on me. My music is not being relevant because I've been putting all my energy into community. And then doing community and then building a family on top of that. My energy hadn't been music, but that's changing. That's one of the things that I'm working on now is it's for to be about music. After this Fat Gator, it's all about music.
It's about to say, you're gonna take a little break from that, and it takes all the focus that you can do.
It's all music. Like everything's got to be organic. I did the song with Mo3. We did it. I got his chorus back on a Friday, and then he died that Wednesday. See what I'm saying? So we didn't even get a chance to develop. I was still working on getting him to do a verse on it. They was just sending me his his hook, you know, so I can have it and start doing our parts on the record. But I'm saying that to say is like, I'm around all these artists, and it was one point, fam, these artists didn't even know I rapped. They knew me as Charles. They didn't know me as Nook or Nook Turner. And that was my problem. Is like, I never utilized what I was doing with events, community stuff to do anything personal. And at one point I prided myself in that, because like, Jump On It's not about Nook, it's about everybody. But then at another point in my life, I was like, that was the dumbest shit ever, because I should have, if I'm gonna put in the work, if I'm gonna go through everything, and I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be in the front that take the good, bad, and the ugly and hold this on my back, then I should have been the one benefiting. I should have had a song with every artist I brought to the city. I should have had an album out every, you know what I'm saying? I should have been working like that. And now I'm learning, okay, this is how we got to do it. So now when I bring an artist to the city, you know I'm gonna get something from them to push what I'm doing on my music. Not because it's a selfish endeavor, but because it makes business sense and it'll make the city bigger. Look at what Trey's doing in Houston. Trey rocking with everybody. He's networking his Trey days. He went through the most horrific shit. People getting shot at his event. All that. He bounced back. Trey Day weekends is so big. He went through fighting with a big person at the radio station till he got banned from the fucking radio. You feel me? And he still figured out a way. So it's like, bro, it's no way that if I make Nook Turner what it needs to be as an entity, what it can do for the city and what it can do for the people that are struggling in the city. So I realized I got to be that catalyst and do that. So with the music, I'm 1,000.
So you think consistency is the most key?
That is the key.
Yeah, that's the key.
And now that you got access to online distribution, everything, it shouldn't be a reason a song ain't dropping every week. It shouldn't be a reason that consistency is even a question. And that's what I'm working on now. So after
consistency and rollouts too. I think rollouts are very overlooked. People just like, oh, I need to put out 20 million songs. Well, then what about nobody can even get behind that song, because now you act like you didn't even give a fuck about the song, because you just like, on to the next one. So that's what I think is also a problem too.
Consistency, rollouts, and then the other thing is branding. You got to have a brand or something. And this is what I tell artists all the time. And a lot of times when I'm telling an artist something, I'm really talking to me. So, and that's why I tell a lot of people, like, I'm really talking to myself. I'm just using you as the brainstorming session. But you really have to create a lifestyle with your music. And people don't necessarily buy into your music. They buy into the lifestyle. And then when the music lines up with the lifestyle, that's when you win. Mm-hmm. And my examples of that is, for example, Sauce Walker. His songs, he go hard. He do his thing. But people bought into the drip. They bought into the splash. They bought into the lifestyle. And his music promotes the lifestyle. Look at Snoop Dogg. Tupac. They bought into, the lifestyle. Yep. And that's, younger artists don't understand that, because they're looking at it from a lens of, we just gotta, like you're saying, just gotta put out music and be popular. But if you don't give somebody a lifestyle to buy into, and it has to be a unique lifestyle. It can still be similar to what's going on, but you have to have your own sitio with it. You got to have your own slang words. You got to have your own terminology. You got to bring your own drip to it, to the point to where people buy into it, where they listen to you, you're going to give them something they can't get elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see artists now are not doing. And that's what Nook Turner is doing as an artist, is I'm bringing back, I'm going to give you something that you're not normally getting. So some will like it, some won't. I don't expect everybody to like it. I expect everybody to respect it, but I know it'll be a viable enough situation to where it can make some noise and do some great things in the industry.
You said it's coming out in October?
Yeah, I moved it back to October, so I'm getting ready to drop 2 singles. I'm getting ready to drop 2 videos, working on that now, and I'll be announcing what that is. And then the song I got with Mo3 and Trina, Put Your Hustle First.
Dope.
I never pushed it. It's going on a year old. We had like pushing towards 200,000 views on YouTube without me doing anything. I'm going to get that song life. And I'm finna put some life into that, because that song is still relevant on putting your hustle first, putting what makes you successful first. I feel like that's something that he should have learned, or I wish he would have learned, is put what you doing make you successful over your ops, over niggas hating. But some things he just couldn't let go. When people start dying, it's a little different. Mm-hmm. And I may be the same way, as if I'm losing certain situations and people trying to kill me, I might not be able to, but you got to put what's going to make you successful first. And so we're going to start pushing that. My goal for that record is to give it an opportunity to make the noise it need to make. And so that, and then all my music is gonna have something that means something in it, but it's gonna be fun as well. Like, I think we deserve to have fun, but do shit that's gonna enhance your life and your situations, not take away from it. That's what I'm all about.
Hell yeah. And then do you have the date or just October, just that around that time?
Yeah, I don't have a day yet.
Right.
The album is pretty much done. I just need to go in and I just didn't have time with doing the Fat Gator weekend and being in the studio. I was gonna try it at first. I said, you know what, I'm finna just be Superman. But then life hit, family hit. Just I need to make Fat Gator successful, and I need to make sure that Jump On It is put in the forefront.
I'm just making sure. Just didn't know if you wanted to drop a date or not.
Nah, we're gonna say October. Then y'all can bring me back and we can talk about just music. We can do listening party. We can do all that and it be about music. But right now, Fat Gator Weekend, go get your tickets. The FatGatorWeekend.com. The FatGatorWeekend.com is 4 days, 10 events starting Thursday with a celebrity basketball game. We got a lot of stuff. Jump On a reunion party is on Friday. All black party. That Saturday we got a Lil Kiki Slab King car show and concert. We got a B King dripping pool party with B King and Hella Yelling. If y'all know about B King pool parties, y'all know what that's gonna look like.
It's gonna be crazy.
We got a King of the Food Trucks competition where we seeing who got the best wings, brisket, and gumbo, and we got a lot of people signing up for that. That's gonna be big. And then we doing a throwback 2000s party that night with DJ Hella Yella, and performing live will be Gorilla Zoe on that one. And then we ending the Fat Gator Sunday at VIP Marina. We're doing an all white boat party. So so we running it up this week, and we're gonna run the bag up this week for Jump On It, so we can bring back all of our real youth programming and things like that. And then one thing I do want to put out there in the air, I'm looking to buy about 15 to 20 acres. And we're going to build our own venue. We about building our own thing right now. So all this crying about we should be at Rosewood, or that's cool. We're going to keep that fight going. But one thing that we got to learn from the older generation, when I say older generation, I'm talking about my great-grandparents. When they gave us land, that was generational wealth, and we didn't understand the value land. They making a lot of shit, bro, but I ain't seen them make no more land. You feel me? So we didn't really understand what we had. When the neighborhoods got gentrified and they were selling the houses, and because we didn't know the value of the land. Now we starting to learn and see that now. When we see Elon Musk move here and we see Silicon Valley and we see what that is, we can see now. But I'm looking for 15 to 20 acres. So if anybody out there got a plug on something, I want to build the Jump On It amphitheater. We're gonna build our Jump On It school program out there. We call that Jump On It University. We want to pretty much take 15, 20 acres and build our own venue, and then we don't have to worry about that no more. We don't have to worry about nobody kicking us out, nobody telling us we too black, because I've been told that shit all the time, man. You need to make that Jump On It diverse. It is diverse, because I'm not turning nobody away, but I'm gonna focus on what the community is. You see what I'm saying? And
you know who Gino is? Have you been out there at Music Ranch?
Yeah, I actually offered to buy 10 acres from Gino.
What'd he say?
He was waiting. I'm waiting on him to give me a price.
That big stage. I haven't been back there in years, but he has a huge stage kind of in the back. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, we did some of our Jump On It in 2019 out there.
Oh, really?
And
I haven't been out there at least 5-6 years.
No, Gino ended up getting some kind of deal came through that was pretty big for him, so he kind of put my little off, I think.
I noticed he started revamping. It turned up like overnight. It looked like, I was like, it didn't look like this the last. No offense, Gino. It didn't look like that the last time we were there.
Nah, he went and bought a whole new property off Weberville. So he got he got a whole right off the lake. Like Gino came up.
Damn, wow.
And then RIP to little bro Corey. He had Corey running the music ranch side of it, and so. Yeah, but no, I had an offer out there, and I might double back with him, but I'd offer to buy 10 acres from him.
Damn.
Wow.
And figured it out. But, we looking for the land.
Yeah.
So anybody, if y'all want to reach me, y'all can find me online at Nook Turner. That's on Facebook, Nook Turner, or Instagram at Nook Turner. And you can just hit me, nookturner.com, nookturner.com. Y'all can reach out to me. If somebody watching this, they want to donate some land, you want to donate to a good cause.
Let's do it. You see that? Good call. One more thing. Where can they find you at on the streaming platform so they can know who the fuck Nook is and what you do?
Man, I'm everywhere. Just go on iTunes, Spotify, Nook Turner.
Nook Turner.
Nook Turner. You're going to see. When you see that Put Your Hustle First, $1 Million Grind. That was the last album I dropped. Shit, I ain't dropped the album since 2012, and that was with Michael 5,000 Watts, $1 Million Grind.
Ooh,
And
yeah, you overdue, man.
yeah, and I've turned down record deals in this situation too because of me trying to figure out how to not get tied up to be able to service my community. So it's like I'm at the point now I'm not turning nothing down.
No, yeah, he ready to go, everybody.
I ain't turning nothing down, no deals down, because now I understand how to make all those things work. I didn't know that then. You know what I'm saying? You hear a lot of people tell me, we don't want no deal. Only nigga say he don't want a deal is the one who don't have one on the table. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of watch how people talk, you know? And then it's just a lot of shit, man. It's like within our hip hop culture, it's like we got so many rules, regulations, and so many stipulations we hold each other by that we don't even hold ourselves to it. And it's like we got to break all that shit down. Like we got to get to the point to where, and I used to say this and people hated on me. I said, I feel like you should have to have some kind of degree or certificate to be a hip hop artist. People hate on me, but I feel like because hip hop is the #1 form of communication in the world. Yep. Again, the #1 form of communication in the world, I feel like you should have some kind of education behind having something that is that powerful. We wouldn't allow a doctor to operate on us if we didn't know that he knew what the hell he was doing. And like we wouldn't let a pilot in the airplane. We wouldn't get on no damn airplane if we knew the pilot hadn't went to school. Just because some pilots that didn't go to school was able to be successful and do it, we wouldn't trust that, and we wouldn't put our life in jeopardy like that. But we don't understand the power of music and the power of communication. I'm gonna say some real shit before we get out of here. Regardless if you're religious, believe in God, the Bible, Allah, Quran, whatever you believe in, I take certain stories and certain lessons, and I feel like they all apply regardless if you put the religious thing behind it or not. But if you look at the story of God and in heaven, right? His biggest and most important department in heaven was his choir. His leader of his choir was Lucifer. When they got banished out of heaven and down to earth, where do you think his biggest influence and his field of his way of doing would be? It would be into where he had his expertise was music. Music is so influential when it comes to people's lives because what you take in is what you become. So if you take in a bunch of bullshit, what do you expect to come out? A bunch of bullshit. And I'm not knocking what you rap about or what you do because I talk about everything in life, but there has to be a balance. The same way the sun is up for 12 hours, it is not visible for 12 hours. So the same way you take in a lot of music that may not be positive or conducive to you being successful, but it's just something that's the turn up, that's fine. You have to then take in the same amount of something that give you that opposite. If you don't balance it out, you go against the laws of nature. You have to have the positive and negative. You have to have the opposite. You have to have the yin and yang, but in music, we don't have that. Not in every music. In hip hop, you don't have that balance. And so as an artist, I feel like you need to really understand your power and influence before you're able to. You do whatever kind of music you want, but I feel like you should understand your power and influence before you get on the mic because you will change the world.
Hell
and
yeah.
you will influence the world. And look at our youngsters, fam. Look at the drill music. Look at our music and what is it telling you to do and what is it embedding in you? And then look at society. And at some point, hip hop reflects society. At some point, hip hop exacerbates society. And that's where we're at right now. And that's right where they want us to be at. They want us to be in that situation when they'll go take out a life insurance policy on a rapper, knowing that you're going to do something that's you're a crash test dummy. We already know you're going to get killed. We're going to give you the money and the tools to kill yourself because we're going to make more money than you do. Because they look at it like you're going to die anyway. You're in the streets.
Yeah.
You're going to die anyway. We might as well profit off of it. And we're manufactured for the pipeline to prison already in the schools. School system getting you ready for prison. And then the music getting you ready for the graveyard. It's no win. It's no win in that. So we got to figure out how to have a balance in that. And that's what Nook Turner going to bring is a balance. But I feel like at some point, as hip hop continues to mature in age, some of our elder spokesmen need to come in with some things that really, really make this a serious thing, only because it is the #1 form of communication. If it wasn't that powerful, cool. But it's the #1. It's a universal language. Salih, I don't know if y'all heard of Salih, Carnival Beats. His brothers, Tomar, all of them.
Yeah.
They were telling me a story one time, and I know we got to rap, but I can go, but I be wanting to give people real shit. They were in a church in Africa, and they didn't speak any English, he said, in this church. And then all of a sudden they were playing music, right? Guess what song they played in church service? They played Hit 'Em Up by Tupac. And he said they were so turned up, but they had no idea what Pac was saying. They just knew the energy, and they felt the energy, and they were dancing and drumming to Hit 'Em Up in church. Because the language barrier, they didn't know what he was talking about, but the energy. And that show you how important our music and our message and our energy is. Mm-hmm. So we have to learn, have your fun, talk your shit, do your thing, but there has to be a balance. And if you're not the artist that offers the balance, then they need to let in artists that do offer the balance. They're still, and we got, as hip hop fans, those that listen to hip hop, you got to be open minded to everything. Because I grew up at one point, you'd have an NWA, you have a Public Enemy, you have an X Clan, you have a 2 Live Crew. All those groups could coexist and all be successful. Look at hip hop right now. Is that balance there? Is that? And you can't paint a painting and it be great with one color. You can make a drawing, but if you want to paint a real painting, you have to illustrate all the colors in the spectrum to really show the depth and the concept. And hip hop is not that. Right now, hip hop is one color, and it's on us. It's on us to change that shit. And if we allow that and we keep letting that be what it be, then when it meets its demise, it will. And then lastly, understanding rap music, the origin of hip hop was in New York, right? But the origin of rapping was back in Africa with the ancient gurus. That's how they passed down traditions, is they rapped it in parables to beats. And that's how for generations and hundreds of years, they were able to keep their families alive, because they wasn't documented. They would do it through music and through the gurus, and they called them griots. And that's, so the importance of rap music, which is poetry to music with a cadence, that preserved history for generations. So I think you gotta understand what the fuck it is you're doing, and it's not just some cool shit my homeboys doing and we gonna make a bunch of money.
That's what everybody do right now, is being real.
It got diluted because it was about chasing a bag. Then you had these niggas talking about, I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler. So it's like, it's room. And my thing is, it's room for all of that, but you have to show all of that. If you don't allow it to be a spectrum and it's just painted with one color, you're not going to get the true picture. And that's what I'm challenging people to change. And that's what Nook Turner is going to challenge people to change. And that's what Drake probably is doing with what he's doing. It's like, you're not stuck in a box. It's not a box. It should show everything. And that's what it is. And Bread City, that's the label. So I'm actually going to talk about the music. I'm going to actually probably sign 2 artists maybe this year, early next year. So if there's any young artists that got talent and want to do something, hit me up. On social media, Nook Turner, find me. We looking to sign artists. We looking to bring in a brand that'll get people focused on Bread City. And Bread City is not all about money. Bread City is a city of freedom and liberation, and having all the resources and everything you need. It's like a, per se, heaven on earth, the way you got everything you need, because that's one thing we've never had as black people in this country, is we've never been fully funded or fully resourced to be able to fully thrive. And that's the key thing. So, I can go forever and ever, but that's what it is.
Yeah. We got somebody about to, my bad, pull up. That's what they call it. But shoot, hey, I appreciate you coming through, giving the game, man. That's what a lot of people need to hear. That's what a lot of young artists need to hear. We are ready for a Gator Fest. That shit gonna be lit.
The Fat Gator, baby.
Fat Gator. I keep calling it goddamn Gator Fest.
Everybody do that. I get text messages. Hey, what's up with the Gator Fest?
I just for some reason want to say that. But hey, appreciate you coming through, man. We definitely have to do this for a second time because we got a lot that we can talk about. Yeah. But hey, this is Jet with Pop Awesome Media. Nook Turner. I'm signing out.